What's going on, good people? This your boy Eric with another episode of JS Vids. Today I will be reacting to a react by the one and only Black Conservative Perspective. He is a YouTuber that I follow on YouTube, on YouTube, right? But he's a YouTuber that I do follow, along with a host of others. He does a great job with bringing facts, giving some good commentary, as well as just explaining the situation and what's really going on. So I wanted to kind of react to this video that I saw. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm trying to keep things uncut, unfiltered. I don't want to rehearse nothing. I want to be authentic and sincere. Again, I'm just an average man. No, nothing special about me. I'm just a man who loves the truth and wants to know the truth and want to respond to the truth and not respond to propaganda, not respond to what they tell you you're supposed to say, but have a mind of my own and think of my own and critically think on my own. So let's get into this real quick. The name of this video is let me grab it. Let me see here what the name of this video is. It is called SCOTUS primes to sledgehammer racist Democrat district as liberal media panics over doomsday. That's a long title, but that's the title of his video, right? So today I can't find my Bluetooth headphones. I might have left it in the truck. My wife is gone. Her, my kids are going to Costco, but I got the handy dandy reliable earbuds, old school with the wire. So without further ado, let's check it on out.
Louisiana's new congressional map. A group of non-black voters say that the state racially discriminated when it created a second black majority district. In oral arguments today, the court's conservative majority seemed to indicate they're inclined to agree.
This court cases in a variety of contexts have said that race-based remedies are permissible for a period of time, sometimes for a long period of time, decades in some cases, but that they should not be indefinite and should have an endpoint. And what exactly do you think the endpoint should be, or how would we know for the intentional use of race to create districts?
So the court may.
I agree with that. I do feel like that a lot of stuff that we are holding on to, as far as like policies or laws that was put into place during a time of extreme racism and extreme um, manipulation, based off the color of the skin, is over. I really don't see how or why we are still holding on to this thought of we need help now, or we need some type of a special treatment in order to feel like or be treated the same as other Americans. I feel like a lot of laws, a lot of policies, or whatever you want to call it, that we have on the books today is no longer necessary. And I feel like the media and white liberals and Democrats have done a very good job of scaring black people into believing that they are oppressed and that somehow, some way, even though black folks today are living their ancestors' dreams, even though that's true, they still feel like for some reason, somehow, for every black person, there's a white guy in the shadows keeping them from advancing or evolving or being successful or attaining their goals. Like, we can vote now. Like, seriously, like, we can go to the voters booth or wherever it is that she's supposed to vote at, and we can cast a ballot now. Our vote counts now. Nobody is looking at the color of your skin and saying, yeah, they can't vote. You know what I'm saying? So we don't need these special treatment thing anymore. It's over. That stuff to me is done and over with. So let's see.
Soon effectively forbids states from considering race when they draw their congressional district maps. And that would allow Republican controlled legislatures across the country to potentially eliminate majority minority districts, many of which currently held by Democrats. This is, of course, just one piece of the battle in this nationwide war for control of the House. Republicans hold the chamber by an incredibly slim margin, just 5 seats. Every district matters.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. So it appears as if the conservative Supreme Court is ready to take a sledgehammer to the precious Voting Rights Act, specifically Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which would essentially eliminate upwards of a dozen Democratic-held districts across the South. Okay, this is the doomsday scenario that.
So there we go, right? They're not getting rid, even though I believe, because look, nobody really knows. No average person really knows everything that is in the Voters' Right Act of 1964. Nobody really knows. Me, the everyday average person like me, every average Joe, we don't know what's in there, right? So what did he just say? I want y'all to listen to words, listen to what's being said, right? He says that specifically Section 2, the Voters' Right Act in itself of 1960, the whole entire Voters' Rights Act is not being eliminated, but specifically Section 2, which says that I think it's something to the tune of a state has to create black only districts. I think there's something to that tune. A state has to create black only districts, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna explain it better than I can. And that's crazy. Like, what if they said states can create a state must create white only districts, right? We'll say that's wrong, not from the simple fact that this is a predominantly white country, not from that standpoint. We won't even think about that. What we would say is immediately that's racist. That's racist, right? That's what we would say. So how is it racist if they create if they have to create predominantly black districts? How is that racist? Because you are only worried about a focus on one race. That's the reason why you would call it racist. You are giving this particular skin color priority over another. That's racist, right? Why isn't it the same thing the other way around when it comes to black people? I don't understand this stuff. Like, keep in mind, the Voters' Rights Act was created because black people were being treated unfair and so on and so forth at the voting booth, and they wasn't being represented and so on and so forth. And I'm pretty sure it's a lot more to it. But like I said, I don't know everything. I'm just the average person, but I got common sense. And people will try to speak down and talk about your common sense as if common sense is not enough. We need the experts to tell you, right? But the killer part is the people who are saying it, they're not even experts. But then they say, well, I'm quoting an expert. And then you can say, then I can say, I'm quoting an expert. But somehow my expert is not an expert. So it's so stupid. It's just dumb. So specifically he said Section 2, not the whole entire Voters' Rights Act, but specifically Section 2, which, if I'm not mistaken, says that it allows states to draw black only districts. Matter of fact, not allow, they have to draw black only districts. That's crazy. Let's get back to it.
Liberals, Democrats, the media, they're worried about, because if the Supreme Court basically rules that you cannot have these minority districts, right? These minority drawn districts where, again, essentially Democrats want to draw district lines based off race, which is, again, textbook racism. Yeah, it seems as if that would eliminate an advantage that Democrats currently have when it comes to these congressional races, okay, in which you have these districts that are all black, that are drawn on racial lines, and all these black people vote Democrat, which again is now why Democrats are desperately arguing that, yeah, it's totally fine to have racist districts.
So what they understand, if we assault the 1964 Civil Rights Act and get rid of that, and then we completely get rid of the 1965 Voting Rights Act, what we have effectively done is gutted black leadership and African Americans from being able to take advantage of what happens in this country. So while a lot of y'all are bullshitting around on whether you can be on fucking TikTok, while you're getting caught up in some bullshit housewife, while you're having your fucking MJ and LeBron debates on who's the GOAT, there is literally, as we speak, an entire focus to gut every single civil right and economic gain that we have had since 1964, because they are pissed with those three acts. They're pissed with the Brown versus Board of Education Act. You have voucher bills that are being pushed in Texas and Tennessee and other places to gut public education. What we have to understand is there is a vicious assault to completely defund Black America.
Because apparently,
now, did y'all see what he just did there? Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if what he was saying was in response to this particular topic. If what he is saying is in response to, I guess, what it looks like the Supreme Court maybe overturning or getting rid of Section 2 of the Voters' Rights Act, right? But did you see what he just did? I can't think of that guy's name. I'm familiar with him, but I don't know. I'm familiar with him, but I'm not no expert on the guy. But did you hear what he just said? Did you hear the fear mongering in what he just said? He didn't say it the right way. He said he's making it seem as if they're getting rid of the Voters' Rights Act, period. You see what I'm saying? So if you listen to him, what he is saying is that the Supreme Court Justice is about to get rid of the 1964 and 1965 Civil Rights Voters' Rights Act, or acts, whatever you want to say, however you want to call it. That's what it seems like. That's what he's saying. That's what he's saying. But the truth is, that's not true. They're getting rid of Section 2. And I'm not going to lie, I think a lot, look, there every state and every county and every city, every town still have old laws and old ordinances and old bills and all the other type of stuff that's still on the books that is unnecessary today, right? No one benefits from that Section 2. Nobody benefits from that other than Democrats. Politicians, Democratic politicians. They're the only one that benefits from that, right? Who's benefiting from that right now today? Black folks. Who is benefiting? Did y'all even know that? Did y'all even know that existed? Did y'all even know that Section 2 of the Voters' Rights Act even existed? Did y'all even know that the Voters' Rights Act had a Section 2 in there that said that states must draw districts that are all black districts? Did y'all even know that they even existed? I guarantee you more than half of y'all didn't even know that it even existed. Before 2020, you didn't know they existed. Before what is this? Before September of 2025, y'all didn't even know that Section 2 existed. But we're gonna act outraged over it. If it would have went away, y'all wouldn't even noticed. Yeah, man, it's insane, man. How we benefit from that in today's time? Put that in the comments below.
White Democrats, right? Even white liberals refuse to vote for black candidates. This is what was argued by the NAACP, right? One of their lawyers doing this Supreme Court hearing on this topic of the Voting Rights Act and potentially, again, eliminating Section 2.
That's right. And in the state of Louisiana, that analysis was conducted in the Nairn case. And it was clear that regardless of party, white Democrats were not voting for black candidates, whether they were Democrats or not. And we know that there is such a significant chasm between how black and white voters vote in Louisiana that there's no question that even if there is some correlation between race and party, that race is the driving factor.
Yeah. So what you have here is this NAACP lawyer admitting the quiet part out loud, which is that, you know, those white Democrats, right? They so racist that they would not vote for a black candidate, even if it's a Democrat. And that is the reason why you need race-based districting, because, again, Democrats are so racist that they won't vote for black people, right?
So that's pretty interesting. And I know I keep stopping this thing a lot, but it's my video. What can I say? I got to give some commentary. I don't want my man Black Conservative Perspective thinking I'm trying to steal his stuff. But anyway, is the reason why white Democrats won't vote for a black Democrat, is it because of the wokeness? Is it because of what their values are? Is it because of what they're talking about? I don't know, man. It's weird. Let's just get back to it. Let me be quiet.
Black people will vote for black people, and therefore this is why you need race-based gerrymandering, okay? Which on its face, on the surface, is unconstitutional.
What role did Robinson play in the development of SB 8?
Justice Thomas, Robinson is the only reason SB 8 exists. We fought tooth and nail in the Robinson litigation itself in telling the courts that we did not think the Constitution permitted us to draw a second majority black district. As you know, under protest, we drew SB 8 because the threat was that the federal courts were going to do it if we didn't. And that's, I think that's the best way to conceive of why SB 8 exists. We would never pass SB 8 in the first instance without Robinson, Justice Thomas.
What were the findings in Robinson?
The finding by the Middle District in Robinson was that the plaintiffs in this case were likely to show a violation of Section 2, and the likely violation, and I'm using very broad terminology because I do not know what the underlying violation is. I can't articulate that for you, Justice Thomas, because I don't think anybody can. But I think the finding in the district court's mind in that case was that the likelihood of a Section 2 violation meant that a majority black district was required, a second one. And I think that was the bottom line, and when our legislature saw that, we understood the marching order, and that's why you see SB 8 as it exists today.
Just briefly, what were the findings that led to that conclusion?
Well, Your Honor, running through the preconditions and the totality of the circumstances, I think the totality of the circumstances did most of the work for the Middle District in Robinson. Senate Factor 1, the official history of past discrimination, Justice Thomas, we can never outrun the bad era of poll taxes, of grandfather clauses, of literacy tests. I think we're always going to lose across the board on that kind of analysis, and that's what the Middle District in Robinson focused on, is how bad was Louisiana in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and, add all that together, and at the end you have a vote dilution finding that I don't think is clearly articulable in the way that SFFA requires a finding of discrimination to be specified.
You could control for partisan effect. There was racially polarized voting even within the Democratic Party. That's where Section 2 matters, where you have a reason to think that a racial group is being treated.
Here too. You have proof of that here.
No, you don't. What you have here is that Republicans and Democrats are different. There's no.
You have some that even white Republicans or white Democrats won't vote for black candidates.
Right, but if these were white Democrats, there's no reason to think they would have a second district. None. And so what is happening here is their argument is because these Democrats happen to be black, they get a second district. If they were all white, we all agree they wouldn't get a second district. That is literally the definition of race subordinating traditional principles.
Yeah.
Did y'all hear that, man? And he's 100% right. Like, he's 100% right. That's racist, bro. If they were white Democrats, they wouldn't get no gerrymandering. But just because of their skin color, they get gerrymandering. They get like, that's insane. Like, what are we talking about here? In other words, like they're saying pretty much is that when they argue that just because they're black, they need another district. They need to be able to just have a district. They gave no proof on why they needed another district. They didn't mention it, at least. I didn't hear him mention any evidence. The fact that he said something to the tune of he don't even know. He couldn't tell you what law was being broken. He couldn't tell you what was wrong. It was just a broad statement that he couldn't even tell you what it meant. It's racist. It's racist. If it's racist to have an all-white something, it's racist to have an all-black something. Like, seriously, bro. It really is.
So I just want everybody to understand exactly what's going on here, right? Just so that nobody's confused in regards to what Democrats are arguing for, right? What liberals are arguing for, because they're quite literally arguing for the government to engage in racism, right? Because in Louisiana, there was earlier litigation in which a district court found that Louisiana's 2022 congressional map likely violated Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. Okay, basically saying, hey, listen, you have to have another black district, right? You have to draw your map in a way that encompasses more black people so that they have their proper representation, right? Again, basically, the Voting Rights Act required that the state literally draw racial lines, right? Racial lines. Now, again, as pointed out by...
Did you hear that? Based off of what? Again, I don't know. I'm an average person, average Joe, average thinker. My question right now in hearing that is this. Based off of what? What is the basis in which they need to draw another black district? Based off of what? Is it based off of the number of black people in that county, the number of black people in that state? Based off of what? I don't know. That's a serious question. But what they have to drop? Is it just because? Like, I don't understand. This is the part I don't get, right? Again, it's a lot left out. But, and so, like, for me, man, I question things. I got questions after questions after questions. And some people think that that's bad. You just supposed to know and understand. Like, no, man, I love truth. I want to operate and respond to and make decisions based off the truth. Not propaganda, not scare tactics, not fear mongering, but based off of the actual truths and facts. And truths and facts are not subjective. Not all of them, not the important ones. The only truth and fact that is subjective is your favorite ice cream flavor, your favorite clothing brand, your favorite dinner food, your favorite movie, your favorite YouTuber. Those are subjective facts and truths and so on and so forth. But when it comes to things that are much more important and serious stuff, like, it's not subjective, man. We need some objective truths here. It's objectively wrong to discriminate against somebody just because of the color of their skin. Because we're all created in the image of God. Yes, I am a Christian. We all created in the image of God, and all of us should be respected as such. That right there is given to us by our Creator, not by man. Although some people argue we're not going down that road, but either way I go, man, like, again, I got questions on top of that. Based off of what? Like, anyway, let's keep going.
the state in their argument that they would not have done this, okay, had it not been for the findings of earlier litigation saying that the original map violated Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, aka they didn't really want to draw a district where you're basically racial gerrymandering, right? You're drawing districts based off race. They're only doing it because the courts are forcing them to do it based off the Voting Rights Act, Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which basically requires racial considerations, racial remedies, okay, when it comes to districting, okay? And that in and of itself is unconstitutional because the Constitution is supposed to forbid the government from doing stuff like this, right? That's the issue, okay? So when Democrats talk about standing up for the Constitution, anybody that basically supports race-based gerrymandering is quite literally going against what the Constitution is supposed to be. Now, the only reason this was allowed to pass, right, is because of the fact that at the time period, it seemed necessary to essentially pass arguably unconstitutional legislation in order to remedy the race problem, right? The race issue, okay, that we have.
And do we still need that right now today? Is that something we still need right now? This is what I'm talking about. Is that what's like, for what reason? For what reason other than to get Democrats to win? I just don't, like, when I say, man, like, this stuff is exhausting, it's exhausting. And like he's saying, they're arguing for racism. That's racist, man. We're not dealing with the same stuff we was dealing back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. We're not dealing with that, man. What we're dealing with now is a bunch of propaganda. I'm looking, oh my gosh. I got more reactions to react to, man, because I saw another video today. Somebody posted on their Facebook feed, I saw, and this dude just lying. It's crazy, man. No truth, no facts, no nothing, just fear-mongering and victim mentality type stuff. Victimhood type stuff.
In this country. The question before the court is whether or not enough time has passed to where this is not needed anymore, because again, it is clearly unconstitutional for the government to be forced to do racial gerrymandering, right? Because we already know that if the roles were reversed, okay, if the state had drawn out a district based off white voters or white representation, everybody knows that would not fly. That would be blatantly unconstitutional. Okay, so again, the question is, are we at the point now where we can actually have equal rights? Okay, or do we still have to live in a time period where certain groups of people based off their race need special rights? Okay, again, even if it's not constitutional, this is the same question that came up about affirmative action, which is probably why, again, it is likely that the Supreme Court is going to take a sledgehammer to the Voting Rights Act. But it's the same question. It's like, has enough time passed where, you know, the government can get out of the business of discriminating against people based off their skin color?
And I think that's a big, I know, me pausing, but that's a big question, bro. And I think black people have been taught and told that these laws and these bills need to stay in place, and if they don't, we're gonna lose our citizenship as Americans. And they say stuff like they're gonna put you back in chains. They told us the same thing when Donald Trump became president the first time. We were supposed to be back in chains then. But anyway, y'all, I'm gonna let y'all go now. I'm done with my rant. Talk to y'all later. To the next video. Peace.